man steps outside in -40 degrees, coffee in hand. A whale passes nearby. A few hundred kilometers away, someone is surfing in front of a rainforest. Further north, the sky is alive with light. Everyone has stopped to look up. This is Canada. Dinosaur fossils and vineyards coexist here. Viking ruins alongside glass skyscrapers. 1,000-year-old forests and Olympic slopes, all woven into the same tapestry. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, from ancient glaciers to desert valleys, from the northern lights to the traces of Viking explorers. This cinematic 4K journey reveals Canada as it truly is. Alive, breathing, at times freezing, but always extraordinary. Bay of Fundy, the world's highest tides, tucked between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. The Bay of Fundy reaches deep into the Atlantic. The water here moves by different rules. Twice a day, tides rise to heights found nowhere else on Earth. Up to 16 meters, and then pull back. What remains is a stretch of coastline that was completely submerged just hours before. In Fundy, this is ordinary. Fishermen plan their days around it. Life here flows to the rhythm of the tides. Churchill, the town of the Northern Lights. Travel far enough north and you'll find a small town on the shores of Hudson Bay, Churchill. Its population numbers in the hundreds. There are no roads leading in. Polar bears roam here too. And on winter nights, the sky comes alive. Greens, purples, and sometimes deep reds as the northern lights dance overhead. Breath turns to mist in the cold. Silence surrounds everything. Some things can only be understood by being there. Niagara Falls. The poetry of power. Niagara Falls is larger than you expect. At peak flow, thousands of tons of water pour over the rocks every second. Standing beside it, the numbers stop mattering. It's the sound, the mist, the sheer atmosphere. The falls were shaped around 12,000 years ago as glaciers melted and retreated. At night, the falls are illuminated. Colors move through the mist: amber, violet, blue. The view shifts, but the roar never changes. In winter, the falls partially freeze. Ice columns and frosted curtains give Niagara a completely different presence. Quebec City. Time behind stone walls. Most cities in Canada feel large and new. Quebec City feels different. Among the best preserved walled historic cities in North America, its stone ramparts, narrow cobbled streets, and 17th century architecture tell a story that goes back centuries. Step down into the Petit Champlain neighborhood and you'll find small galleries, craft workshops, and sidewalk cafes woven together. Walk along the Dufferin Terrace and the deep, dark blue of the St. Lawrence River opens before you. And above it all, the Chateau Frontenac. Built in 1893, watching over the city like a castle from another age. Montreal, the city of two languages. Heading south from Quebec City, the sound of the city grows louder. Montreal. Here, two official languages don't just appear on signs and billboards. They live in daily conversations, in music, in restaurants. A coffee order in French. A music festival in English. Step inside the Notre Dame Basilica, and golden and midnight blue details fill every corner. In the Old Port, historic buildings stand beside contemporary art. From the top of Mount Royal, the city reveals itself fully. Gothic spires and glass towers, historic neighborhoods and modern design, all part of the same place. Ottawa. Two faces of a quiet capital, Ottawa presents itself formally at first glance. Parliament Hill, government buildings, official ceremonies. But walk along the Rideau Canal, and that impression shifts. Built in 1832, the canal is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In winter, 7.8 kilometers of it freezes over, becoming one of the longest natural skating rinks in the world. The sight of residents skating to work in the morning reveals a warmth that the city's official face tends to keep hidden. Prince Edward Island. A watercolor island. Nestled in the Atlantic Ocean, Prince Edward Island is Canada's smallest province. Red cliffs, golden beaches, and deep green farmland. The Confederation Bridge connects the island to the mainland. 13 kilometers of road stretching across the water like a thin line drawn on the sea. Cross it, and the atmosphere changes. Fishing villages, solitary lighthouses, lobster traps drying at the harbor's edge. Halifax. Capital of the ocean. Halifax carries the scent of the sea. A star-shaped citadel watches over the city from the hill above. Along the waterfront, historic pubs and modern restaurants follow one after another. Fresh seafood is a given here. The natural result of a deep maritime tradition. But Halifax holds another story. Halifax holds a rich history connected to the Titanic. It's where some survivors were brought. And some of those lost are interred in its cemeteries. If you don't want to miss the rest of this journey, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Banff National Park. Canada's crown jewel. Established in 1885, Banff is Canada's first national park. located in the heart of the Rocky Mountains in Alberta. It begins to reveal itself the moment you reach the shore of Lake Louise. The color of the water stops you. A particular shade of turquoise that changes with the light and the seasons. Morne Lake lies a little further on. Surrounded by snow-capped peaks, it is among the most photographed natural destinations in Canada. Bison graze freely within the park. Grizzly bears, mountain goats, and elk move through the valleys without hurry. For the Stoney Nakoda people, these lands have held deep spiritual meaning for centuries. The mountains, the lakes, and the hot springs are not simply landscape. They carry history. The Icefields Parkway begins at Banff and stretches north toward Jasper. Widely regarded as one of the most scenic drives in the world. The road winds through glaciers, deep valleys, and dramatic mountain scenery. Around every bend, the view changes. Each one remarkable in its own way. Jasper National Park. Wild north beneath the stars. Jasper is the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies. Its skies are among the darkest on Earth. And on clear nights, the Milky Way is visible with the naked eye in extraordinary detail. The Columbia Icefield is one of the largest ice fields in North America. The Athabasca Glacier, the most accessible part of this vast, frozen landscape, can be walked upon during guided visits. The glacier's retreat, marked by stones from past decades, serves as a significant indicator of environmental shifts. Caribou, wolves, and grizzly bears are permanent residents of this park. Athabasca Falls and River, born from the glacier. Within Jasper National Park, the Athabasca Falls carve through the landscape with remarkable force. The Athabasca River begins above the falls, fed by glacial meltwater, and flows north through Alberta toward the Arctic. In winter, the falls partially freeze. Ice columns form. The water appears to stand still. But beneath the surface, it continues to move. Yoho National Park. The park that means wonder. On the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains in British Columbia lies a lesser-known but deeply impressive park. Yoho. The name comes from a Cree word meaning wonder. That feeling arrives the moment you step inside. Takakau Falls is among the tallest waterfalls in Canada, with water dropping some 254 meters into a deep pool below. The surrounding rocks are covered in moss, the air heavy with mist. The Natural Bridge. Carved by the Kicking Horse River over centuries. is a quiet reminder of how water shapes the world. The Burgess Shale is something else entirely. A site containing marine fossils hundreds of millions of years old, the remains preserved here are among the earliest known evidence of complex life on Earth. Paleontologists continue to work here. Guided tours allow visitors to walk through this remarkable archaeological site. One of the most significant of its kind anywhere in the world. Algonquin Provincial Park. Where autumn becomes a canvas, we turn east now, toward Ontario. No mountains, no glaciers, but there is Algonquin. One of Ontario's most storied provincial parks, it covers over 7,600 square kilometers of forest and lakes. More than 2,400 lakes follow one after another, connected by canoe routes that trace the same waterways used by Indigenous peoples for centuries. In autumn, Algonquin transforms. Maples turn orange and red. Birches go yellow. The dark evergreens hold their color, standing apart in the shifting landscape. At night, wolves call across the forest. In the early morning, moose move through the mist at the water's edge. Gros Morne National Park. The Earth's inner layers. Gros Morne holds something that very few places on Earth can offer. Millions of years ago, colliding continents pushed rocks from deep within the Earth's mantle up to the surface. Those rocks, which would normally lie hundreds of kilometers underground, are here. Visible, walkable. A UNESCO World Heritage Site. Gros Morne is considered one of the most compelling living proofs of plate tectonic theory. Much of what scientists now understand about the movement of continents was supported by findings from this park. The waters here tell their own story. Whales, seals, and drifting icebergs move through the Atlantic along the coastline. Sea eagles circle above the shore. Bog and boreal forest meet at the edges of the land. Alberta Badlands and Drumheller. Where the dinosaurs remained. No trees, no mountains, only wind, erosion, and canyons carved by time. The Alberta Badlands feel like a different world entirely. Why, a dramatic landscape where layered rock formations read like a geological calendar, each color marking a different era in Earth's history. The town of Drumheller calls itself the dinosaur capital of the world. The Royal Tyrrell Museum, located here, houses one of the most significant dinosaur collections on the planet. Triceratops, T-Rex, Mosasaurus. The fossils displayed were found in the ground nearby. Excavations continue every day. Paleontologists, researchers, and curious visitors all search these ancient grounds. Every fossil uncovered is a new window into our planet's distant past. If you've been enjoying this journey so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's much more ahead. Vancouver. A metropolis between ocean and mountain, Canada's third largest city was built in a remarkably fortunate location. The Pacific Ocean to the west, snow-capped mountains to the north, and between them, a modern city of glass towers and waterfront neighborhoods. From almost any point in Vancouver, all three are visible at once. More than 200 ethnic communities share this city. At Granville Island, the morning market opens alongside artist studios. Chinatown is one of the most established in North America. Its gates, sculptures, and neighborhood restaurants reflecting generations of cultural presence. Stanley Park sits at the heart of the city. Hundreds of hectares of temperate rainforest, wrapped by nearly 9 kilometers of seawall. Cyclists, walkers, and runners move along it from early morning to after dark. In the park's quiet interior lakes, great blue herons fish undisturbed, seemingly unaware that one of Canada's largest cities surrounds them. Toronto. The city that speaks every language. Arriving in Canada's largest city, the pace immediately shifts. More than 140 languages are spoken in Toronto. You notice it right away. In conversations on the subway, on market signs, in the histories behind neighborhood names. The city itself is a mosaic, but its parts are not separate. They are woven together. The CN Tower rises beside Lake Ontario, standing 553 meters tall. For many years, it held the record as the tallest freestanding structure in the world. Step onto the glass-floored observation deck, and Toronto spreads out in every direction. On a clear day, the shoreline of the United States is visible in the distance. The Distillery District hosts one of the city's most beloved Christmas markets each December, drawing visitors from across the region. Walk into Kensington Market and you find a different side of Toronto. Street art, vintage shops, food from every corner of the world, and an energy that never quite settles. High Park offers over 160 hectares of green space at the heart of the city. In spring, Japanese cherry trees bloom along its paths. In autumn, the leaves turn. Beneath those trees, at any given time, there are people picnicking, running, and reading. Calgary. Cowboys and skyscrapers. Calgary reads as a modern city at first glance. Gleaming towers, wide boulevards, new infrastructure. The oil industry built this city and shaped its ambitions. But Calgary carries another story alongside all of that. Every July, for 10 days, the city transforms. Rodeo competitions, chuck wagon races, outdoor pancake breakfasts, and cowboy hats on every corner. Even office workers trade their usual attire for denim and boots. Calgary knows how to build for the future while holding on to its past. That balance makes it a city worth understanding. Edmonton, the festival city of the North. Alberta's capital has its own rhythm. The North Saskatchewan River cuts through the center of the city, forming a broad green valley that contains one of the largest urban park networks in North America. When summer arrives, Edmonton becomes a different place. The nickname Festival City is well earned. Dozens of events fill the calendar, including one of the largest outdoor fringe theater festivals on the continent. Winter is harsh, but far from quiet. Ice sculpture festivals line the frozen riverbanks, and celebrations light up the long northern nights. Edmonton is a city that has made peace with its climate and turned it into something worth celebrating. Whistler, an Olympic mountain, 4 seasons of life. Heading north from Vancouver along the Sea to Sky Highway, the mountains draw closer and the air begins to change. Whistler hosted the 2010 Winter Olympics, and the legacy of those games is still present throughout the town. In winter, Whistler Blackcomb offers one of the largest ski areas in North America, 2 mountains side by side, with vertical drops and trail lengths that compare to the most celebrated resorts in the Alps. Ride the gondola to the summit, and Vancouver's misty coastline appears in the distance below. When summer arrives, Whistler shifts entirely. Ski runs become mountain bike trails. Hiking routes open across the high terrain. Crystal clear alpine lakes welcome swimmers. The pedestrian village fills with restaurants, galleries, and festival crowds. Okanagan Valley and Kelowna, Canada's Mediterranean. Deep in the interior of British Columbia, the Okanagan Valley sits in a climate that surprises most visitors. The snow and cold typically associated with Canada give way here to something quite different. Over 2,000 hours of sunshine each year nourish vineyards, peach orchards, cherry trees, and apple farms. Hundreds of wineries line the slopes of the valley's rolling hills. Lake Okanagan stretches 135 kilometers through the heart of the region. In summer, water sports, kayaking, and sailing make it the natural gathering point for locals and visitors alike. Kelowna sits on the eastern shore of the lake. Walking along its waterfront, you find palm trees, sandy beaches, and sailboats on the water. Then you look up, and snow-capped mountains rise in the background. both images exist in the same frame, offering perhaps the clearest single view of Canada's geographic diversity. Autumn brings its own beauty to the valley. Vines turn gold and red. Orchards move into harvest. Cellar doors open. In this season, Okanagan feels entirely removed from the rest of Canada. Warmer, slower, and deeply generous. Tofino, where the waves meet the forest. Drive to the western edge of Vancouver Island, and the road runs out. Beyond this point, there is only ocean. Tofino stands right at that edge. It was once a small fishing village. Today it draws surfers, nature photographers, and those looking to step away from city life. But the change has not altered Tofino's character. At Chesterman Beach, morning fog lifts slowly while surfers in wetsuits move into the water. The Pacific is cold. It doesn't matter. The waves are powerful and consistent. And winter storms draw visitors from around the world. The kind of storms that turn the Tofino coastline into something dramatic and alive. Behind the town, ancient western red cedar forests rise tall. Walking beneath them, the scent of moss from the forest floor mixes with the salt air drifting in from the ocean. As the tide pulls back, the coastline reveals itself. Tidal pools appear along the rocks, filled with sea stars, octopus, and mussels. Eagles drift in slow circles overhead. Revelstoke. The secret the snow kept best. Tucked between the Selkirk and Monashee Mountains in the interior of British Columbia, Revelstoke was once a small railway town. A stop along the line, nothing more. Today it is known as home to one of the longest ski descents in the world. With a vertical drop of 1,713 meters. Revelstoke carries the distinction of being among the greatest ski mountains in North America. It holds a particular reputation among those who seek deep, dry powder and serious terrain. But Revelstoke is not only a winter destination. In summer, mountain bikers arrive, and the trails of Mount Revelstoke National Park open to hikers. Within a single hour, you can travel from temperate rainforest to alpine tundra. A transition that few places on Earth can offer in such a short distance. Mont-Tremblant. At the foot of the Trembling Mountain, we move north into the Laurentian Mountains of Quebec. Mont-Tremblant is a village built at the base of a peak that Indigenous peoples called the Trembling Mountain. In winter, dozens of ski runs open across its slopes. In summer, the clear waters of Lake Tremblant draw kayakers and swimmers. Hiking trails wind through the forest, beneath a canopy of maple trees. When autumn arrives, those maples turn deep red and orange, and the village becomes the setting for one of the most vivid seasonal displays in all of Quebec. Our journey through Canada continues without pause. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Sea to Sky Highway. From the ocean to the summit, just north of Vancouver, a road begins that fully earns its name. Sea to Sky. From the ocean to the sky. Exactly that. The journey starts at the edge of Horseshoe Bay and climbs in long, sweeping curves. Every few kilometers, the scenery shifts. First the ocean, then a fjord, then dense forest, then granite rock faces, then snow-covered peaks. All of it in a single drive, unfolding one after another. This road is more than a route. It is a story, and every bend opens a new chapter. Horseshoe Bay. A small cove drawn into the shore. Calm water, mountain silhouettes, and ferries departing from the dock. Horseshoe Bay is where the sea-to-sky journey begins. Regular crossings lead from here to the islands and the northern coastline. Standing at the water's edge, you begin to understand how Canada's coast is structured. Land and sea continuously overlapping, the boundary between them always shifting. Spending a few quiet minutes here, watching the ferries move and the mountains rise behind the bay, offers a sense of balance that belongs entirely to this place. Squamish and Shannon Falls. Granite and water. About an hour north of Horseshoe Bay, where the mountains become impossible to ignore, lies Squamish. Often referred to as the outdoor recreation capital of Canada. The title is unusual for a town of its size, but it fits. The Squamish Chief rises just beside the town, one of the largest granite monoliths in the world. For rock climbers, it is a destination. For the Squamish Nation, it has held sacred significance for centuries. Those who complete the challenging hike to the summit are rewarded with sweeping views of Howe Sound and the surrounding peaks. Nearby, Shannon Falls drops 335 meters. Among the tallest waterfalls in British Columbia. The water moves down smooth granite faces, framed on all sides by towering Douglas firs. Walking the short trail toward the falls, you feel the moisture in the air before you hear the full sound of the water. Then the forest sounds and the waterfall sounds merge, and nothing else gets through. A perfect place to pause, but leaving is harder than expected. Garibaldi Provincial Park. a paradise in the shadow of a volcano. Just south of Whistler, a park carries the name of a dormant volcano, Garibaldi. Mount Garibaldi shaped much of the landscape that surrounds it. Lava fields, basalt formations, and valleys carved during the last ice age exist side by side throughout the park. In late summer, the alpine meadows fill with wildflowers. The Panorama Ridge Trail offers a wide view across those meadows, with glaciers and jagged peaks rising behind them. Black Tusk, a volcanic rock spire, is visible from nearly every direction, appearing in the background of almost every photograph taken within the park. Garibaldi is not a casual day trip. Most of its trails require real effort. That distance keeps the interior of the park remarkably quiet. Within a few hours of leaving the city, a complete stillness becomes possible. Joffre Lakes, 3 shades of glacial turquoise. A little further along the sea-to-sky corridor, a small sign appears at the roadside. Joffre Lakes. Do not pass it. The Joffre Lakes are 3 separate lakes, each one higher than the last, each carrying a slightly different shade of turquoise. The color comes from glacial silt suspended in the water, and it shifts throughout the day as the angle of the sun changes. A cool blue in the early morning, a bright green by midday, a deep emerald as the light fades toward evening. The trail connects all 3 lakes in sequence. At the far end, standing at the edge of the uppermost lake, Mathieu Glacier comes into view. This is the source, the ice that feeds the water, and the water that creates the color. Fragments of ice occasionally break away and drift slowly across the surface of the lake. Charlevoix, land shaped by a meteor. Returning to Quebec, the Charlevoix region unfolds along the southeastern shore of the St. Lawrence River. The shape of this land is not accidental. Around 350 million years ago, a large meteorite struck this area. The crater basin it created has since transformed into a natural amphitheater where mountains, river, and coastline meet in a single, sweeping landscape. A UNESCO biosphere reserve, Charlevoix changes dramatically with the seasons. In autumn, the boreal forests turn red and gold. In winter, the river freezes over. Large sheets of ice drift on the surface, while the dark silhouettes of whales rise and disappear in the background. It is a scene that is difficult to find anywhere else on Earth. When temperatures drop to -30, breath crystallizes in the air. And at night, the northern lights move across the sky above. L'Anse aux Meadows, where the Vikings stopped, at the northern tip of Newfoundland, on a windswept headland facing the Atlantic. The journey takes longer than expected. The site is remote, exposed, and far from everything. But the distance opens into a history that reaches back 1,000 years. Meadows is the only confirmed Viking settlement in North America. Around a millennium ago, Norse explorers from Norway and Greenland came ashore here. 500 years before Columbus. Discovered in the 1960s and recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The area is open to visitors, with reconstructed sod structures that give a sense of what daily life looked like in this place. Inside those simple buildings, the ingenuity of the construction becomes clear. An iron-working forge found at the site suggests the settlers intended to stay. The world must have seemed very large then. Or perhaps, in that moment of arrival, a little smaller. St. John is the eastern edge of the continent. On the eastern coast of Newfoundland, at the far edge of the continent, sits one of the oldest cities in North America. St. John's climbs steep hills above its harbor, its streets lined with brightly colored wooden houses. Yellows, reds, blues, and greens. Known locally as Jelly Bean Row. Cape Spear lies just a few kilometers away. The easternmost point of North America. Arrive here in the morning and the sun rises over this headland before it reaches anywhere else on the continent. St. John's is also connected to the story of the Titanic. The ship went down in waters not far from this shore. This is where a continent ends, or where it begins, depending on how you choose to look at it. From the tides of Fundy to the starlit nights of Jasper. From the roar of Niagara to the quiet shores where Viking traces remain. From the wild Pacific at Tofino to the first morning light at Cape Spear. All of it, one country, all of it Canada. This land tells a different story every time. Sometimes through the silence of a glacier, sometimes through the rhythm of a city. Sometimes through the wind passing in front of a 1,000-year-old wall. This is a place that deserves to be seen and felt. If this journey stayed with you, explore more documentaries on our channel. Like the video and subscribe. It helps us keep telling these stories. The next discovery is already waiting. The world is still vast,